Hi, Drew from Mission RV Services with your Monday quick tip. So last week we talked about just basic furnace maintenance, things to do to keep your furnace running in tip-top shape. Well, today's complaint is my furnace gets going but it sputters. Sometimes it starts, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it goes into propane lockout. But even when it is running, it almost sounds like a car that's starving for gas. So this particular customer has replaced a board. That didn't help. Replaced their igniter. Well, that didn't help either, because the actual issue with this, we believe, and we're gonna take this apart with you, and we'll get it apart and show you on our little workbench, otherwise known as truck tailgate, being fully mobile RV techs. We believe we have some kind of a blockage in the orifice where the propane flows out and gets to the burner. But while we have that burner and gas valve assembly out, we're going to clean the burner up. We're going to check our igniter to make sure we have our 1/8 inch gap that we're supposed to have. And we're going to just make sure everything's in good shape. But you and I together will take the burner apart, and then we're going to look at that orifice and we're going to see if that's blocked up. Sometimes there could be a spider web in there, some kind of insect has gotten in there, even a little flake of rust, because the hole is so small that the fuel flows through that it could create some kind of a blockage, especially rust flakes. They can fall up and down. And so you could get an intermittent issue where fuel is flowing 1 minute, then the next minute it's not. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull that assembly out. We'll take it to the workbench and we'll take a look at that together right over here. So we've gone ahead and we've taken our gas valve burner assembly out of the furnace. So since we have this out, we'll explain what everything is here. These are your gas valves. So when you hit your thermostat and call for temperature, through the circuit board, it goes in, it opens these valves up. Sometimes you'll hear an audible click, and then the gas starts flowing through. So once the gas starts flowing through, it goes into the burner assembly here, which we've already cleaned this. So before when we pulled it out, there was a little bit of rust here. Our gap was off a little bit on our igniter, which is what this is. This is the igniter, and it's also a thermocouple. So once this ignites, the gas that's coming through into the burner ignites, the flame goes up, and then the fan forces that through. So these all work in kind of like a pyramid, right? Gas valve opens, igniter ignites, gas flows through the burner, and then you get your ignition contact and you're off and running with some nice heat, keeping your coach warm. So what this particular unit is doing, the gas valve is opening. So that tells me I don't have a gas valve problem. From what the customer explained, they went ahead and changed the board because it's easy to access. But in this case, I believe they spent money on a board and it didn't even help them, because they were getting the system was telling the valve to open up. It was telling gas to go in. It was igniting. Yes, it was a little bit dirty. The contacts on the igniter were a little bit dirty, but they weren't horrible. So it all leads towards a fuel flow problem. Now, we could have bad gas valves that maybe are opening intermittently, but normally once these are opening, they're usually pretty good. They can fail, but I have noticed that they tend to fail all at once, not intermittently over time. They're normally good or they're bad, because these solenoids work off magnets, and if they're not engaging anymore, they're just not engaging. They don't kind of engage part-time. So everything is pointing to me with the sputtering, starting sometimes, stopping sometimes, that we have a fuel flow problem. So we're going to take this off, and as you'll see in here, there's just 2 screws that hold this whole burner assembly in. So let's pop these off real quick. Okay, so a couple things we're going to check here. First, we're going to check the inside of our burner tube. We've already cleaned the outside, like I said. We just used a brass brush and just cleaned it up a little bit. Follow it up with a nylon. Just gave it a quick cleaning. We used some Scotch-Brite on the igniter. One thing to be careful of, this is ceramic here on your igniter. So you do not want to bend on this post at all. You can adjust these to make sure you have an 1/8 inch gap, but you always adjust the smaller of the two. This one can take a little bit of bending. Never bend on this. You'll end up cracking that ceramic, and then it's game over. You're going to need a new igniter. Now that we have this apart, we've checked our burner. Our burner looks okay inside. But what I am noticing is I have a bunch of debris around the end of this orifice. This is what the gas comes out of, very small, so you can understand how something that small could cause us so many problems. Now, first inclination is, ooh, I've got a pick that's pretty small. I can go and dig around in there. Take this and get rid of it. Do not ever jam anything in there except possibly a orifice cleaning tool that's specific to gas valves. Don't use the feeler gauges. So there's some gauges you can use that are similar, but these are very delicate. If you change that orifice at all and you gouge it, you are going to have problems with your flow. So you're going to get too much flow, not enough flow. You're going to destroy that, and then you're going to have even bigger problems. So right now we're going to take this off, and we're just going to clean it very lightly, and we'll blow it out of there with some air. Okay, we're going to take an 11mm socket. Now you can take this out of here and actually let's do that real quick. We'll pop this out of here real fast just to get it out of our way, just so we're not damaging it on accident. Put that over to the side. So now we'll take our 11mm socket, and we're going to take this off here. Hopefully it doesn't cause us too many problems. So now what I'm going to do is I'm looking here. What I'm seeing on this is it's going to be really hard to see on the camera, but I have some shavings on here that you might be able to pick up. Not sure what that's from, probably from, initial build. But what I have on here is oil. So it tells me at some point, this camper, just doing a little detective work, that this particular camper RV had some oil in the system. So maybe it was blown out at some point, but there is oil all over this, and it's gumming up this little tiny orifice. So as you see again, that's how small that hole is. And we've got a bunch of gunk in there. So we're going to wipe this all down. We're going to just blow a little air through it. But we're going to take a look at this other orifice here and grab a light and see what we can see in there. And it's kind of hard to tell, but I have a little bit of debris in there as well. We're just going to blow a little bit of compressed air in these, and we're going to clean them out. And then we're going to put this thing back together, and we're going to see how it operates. So before we put the burner back in, one of the things we will check is the burn chamber, which is what you see right here. And it looks like this camper has a mess of stink bugs inside the burn chamber. So we're going to go ahead, clean those out. Just make sure everything is cleaned and tidied up in here before we put the burner back together. So we had multiple issues. As we were cleaning that orifice out and the gas valve tube, we also found a small spider web in there. So just like a little ball, just enough to really block the flow. So we're going to go ahead and clean this out and get this thing put back together. Okay, so that was today's quick tip of my furnace is running, but not running very well or not at all, or running intermittently. So now that we're all wrapped up, furnace is running very well. We can't stress enough, when you're breaking into your propane system, you're pulling out gas valves and burners and igniters. There are some DIYers out there that can totally do this, but we recommend go to the rvtaa.org, find yourself a qualified RV technician to do this. They can do a leak drop-down test after the propane system is put back whole to protect you and your family. Today was a success. Again, this owner had replaced the board. They replaced their igniter. They did what they thought they could do to try to avoid a visit, but in the end, This whole job took less than an hour, a service call and an hour of labor, got this customer hooked up, and they went out before this and already spent hundreds of dollars to try to resolve it themselves. We applaud them for trying to take it into their own hands, but always at least consult a qualified RV technician just to make sure that you're getting yourself situated and get yourself back to good. Weather's getting cold. You really want to have your furnace operational. Today was a success. If this video helped you or you found it informative, hit the like button, click the subscribe and the notification bell, and we'll see you next time. This is Drew from Mission RV Services. Bye, everybody.